Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Turtle Club podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, and today I'm here with Bobby,
Hello.
Angel,
Hey,
and Sam.
What's up?
So today we're going to be doing it a little bit differently how we usually do the podcasts. We usually do set reviews. We are going to be be separating that from the podcast and do other topics, more broad stuff that we can talk about instead of just the sets every time. It's a little bland to do for like an hour straight, so we can change it up a little bit. But today's topic is going to be about floodgates. So you know them, you hate them, maybe you don't mind them, but yeah, they are definitely impactful to the game. They definitely make Masters much different from Fusion World, everything like that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I guess the first question can be for all of you guys: do you think floodgates are actually a problem in the game right now? What do you think?
no, no.
I think there just should be like a happy median right there for them. They're not a problem because if there was no floodgates, games would probably be ending like super early, like turn 3, turn 4, if not sooner, maybe, depending on your deck. I personally wish that they would do away with the main floodgates and just put like more archetype floodgates in there instead. That's what I think.
It would be nice if they were less generic. I think the ones that bother me are the ones that are kind of turn enders, as opposed to ones that give you the ability to at least pay the tax. But it just seems like now you can just shove as many floodgates into your deck as possible, and given the time rules in this game, it's not ideal. But they've balanced the game around them with so many 1 energy, 30k giant swings that you can't just rely on combat power for defense any longer. Like you do
Yeah,
in
that's-
Open World.
That's the problem. If we were back in 15k days, then floodgates, I would consider them a problem. But everything's at fucking 30k. So
It would be nice if they found some way to limit how many of them you can play in a deck. Maybe a keyword skill like they do for Super Combo, something I've thought about. Just some way to bridge the gap. So you definitely need them for some of these crazy hyper aggro decks, but I don't know. Some of these decks just have too much offense and defense. Red Kitku in particular, I think of.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe if they all cost 2 or more, like the old ones did. That way, at least if you were gonna floodgate. Well, I guess, are we getting into this already? Are we getting into the actual, or did you have like another thing lined up, Dylan? Or just hop right in?
I guess it depends on what you're talking about, but I was gonna just bring up like, do we talk about whether all floodgates should be on battle cards instead of extra cards? If that's what you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna get at. It's like all the ones that used to cost 2. I mean, Topo was like crazy, when it came out,
Yeah.
and it's still pretty good now. But you have leaving up 2 energy, you're sacrificing 2-3 plays. You know what I mean? So there's like a give and take. It's like if you're gonna be defensive, you're not gonna be as offensive. Whereas all these 1-cost floodgates that are just as effective, if not even more so, with like Dorman and Dance, that are just completely uninteractive. You can do your whole turn and then just leave 1 up and probably live through whatever nonsense your opponent's about to do, which is pretty unfair, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the battle cards are kind of like the happy medium that Sam was talking about. What they can floodgate if they go through, but we have like a lot of counterplay options like that stop 2 or less and stuff like that, and most battle card floodgates are 2 or less. So I think that's kind of a happy medium where you can risk keeping 1 or 2 open for your floodgate, but also your opponent can spend that energy or 2 to stop your floodgate. Spending their energy to stop your play. So like you both use the resources to try and do it, but
Yeah.
You are losing out on. You're not like completely safe just because you use your extra card floodgate, because there's not that many counters in the game to stop extra card floodgates. Like the best one's probably like Hunt of the Demon God, I think is what it's called. That's
Yeah, the free one.
That's like the best one you can do for
Or
any
they
deck.
it stops the free ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like it if Floodgates, if they had to keep doing them, just keep them maybe for battle cards, not extra cards like we have. Like the main 4 I have pulled up here, probably like the most egregious ones that every one of those decks run that like you can't really play, or you can play around them I guess, but you can't really like stop them from happening. Like you know your opponent's gonna, if they leave one open, you know one of these cards is happening. So that's just my opinion for that.
What are the 4 that you think are the most egregious, Dylan?
Explosive Dance, Dormant, Uneasing, and Flying Nimbus. Because those are the main extra card negates that can't be stopped by most things. Probably like the most powerful ones for those colors, at least. I mean, blue doesn't really have like an extra card floodgate that's really busted. The best they have is like Prospector 17, but I don't think they're busted because they can be counterplayed. So that's why I don't have them pulled up here.
They used to have an extra card floodgate and it was too good. Had to ban it.
The Birdie Burst, yeah.
Yeah.
It was too good.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be insane now. Could you imagine?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how they walked themselves into a design corner by printing the green Frieza counterplay. And then they didn't want any boss monsters to die to that, so they made everything 8 drops.
And then, yeah.
And then they had the Dirty Burst came in. They're like, oh wait, no, that's not good either. So they get rid of that. Then they got rid of Frieza anyway.
Good move.
I have a. What do you think is the best designed floodgate in the game? Like the fairest floodgate we have.
It's funny that Dylan has it on his worst defenders, but it's probably Nimbus.
I would say Nimbus or Uneasing, probably.
What did you say?
Yeah, those are
Did you
both-
say battle card floodgate or just regular floodgates?
I guess it could be either.
Yeah, I think you said battle card floodgates.
Oh, so the most fair ones, I would say Topo and Boo. They're just the 2 cost. Then you have to pitch 2 guys.
Yeah, because that one.
Their energy cost is very restrictive, so I
Yeah.
think that those are the most fair, and they're interactable.
Yeah, because those ones are interactable, but if they go through, they actually do end turns. Like you're not gonna swing through that most of the time, but you are.
There are, if you're about to kill them though, you can swing through one. You can swing through them.
Yeah, you can take the challenge for sure, but like those are the ones that like hard tax you, but you're paying 2, so usually pitching a card also, so it's usually worth it if you don't get counterplayed with those.
Well,
ones.
I also think another problem is what makes the the floodgates so busted is like token negates and D-magic and stuff like that. It's just
To
like,
supplement them, yeah.
yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just retarded. In my opinion.
See, I think the Android 17 in blue is pretty well balanced. You have to set it up, and it comes in rest mode, so you don't get freezy energy, and it's not the end of the world to get. You can push through a 17, no problem if you're gonna win. Something like that, or even.
That's why,
Go ahead.
no, that's why I was saying. Like that's why I think like Uneasing's fair. There's been multiple times where I just pushed through like Uneasing, and like I don't know. I think floodgates that just like end turns are bad, but at the same time that floodgates that like Uneasing, like you're able to Uneasing, Android 17, stuff like that. That you're just able to push, like you're able to push through a little bit and not be like too taxed on it. I think those are fair personally.
Dance feels particularly bad to me because some decks just
Can't.
the way that they're designed by the devs can get around it, and some decks just can't, and it really limits your older play styles these decks that don't just generate Z energy for no reason.
Yeah.
So that one feels bad. But I have a question. What do you think? Like this most recent set, they printed the 8-drop cooler for black. It's a 3 energy play. It has removal. It has offensive ability, and it has the kind of the proactive.
Yeah.
I think that is the way to.
I like those. Yeah, where your boss monster kind of covers 2 turns. I do like both that and the Frieza successor from before. If they both didn't cost 3, that would be tight, but they do. So I do think that's probably the way moving forward. Is either that or banning all the 1-cost ones maybe. Just these are like my thoughts on that. I just think making it expensive to do this stuff is a good move. That way, all these hyper aggro decks, at least if they're gonna go all in, they're risking an actual clapback.
Yeah, I guess the idea with the those kind of boss monsters, they also have Floodgates. Like those boss monsters, if they didn't have the Floodgate effect, you would pay 2 for them. But the extra energy is like for the Floodgate that you would have used on defense anyway.
I would not pay 2 for those guys.
Oh, you still wouldn't do that even without?
Without the Floodgate effect? No.
Yeah.
Bad.
Alright.
You know? Yeah, I mean, Frieza maybe, but like, even then, it's kind of rough. Gogeta's just a better card. For 1 less. For 2 less.
The cooler is at least like triple strike or is it double strike? One of those.
Double.
Double.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're a little undertuned, but they're close to being something cool. They're a good concept.
They couldn't make it too oppressive, right? Because it can't, like, that card can't be warp 2 cards from your hand, right?
No, you can't.
Good.
3 and then
So-
swing a kill whatever you want and then sit on your ass. Yeah, crazy. I think it sounds. It should just cost 2. I think it should just be a 2-cost card.
They've had different floodgates for archetypes. Like if you look at Android 21, the full power counter,
Broken.
expensive card, but
Not in the deck though.
yeah, not in the deck. But it had different weight. Like that taxed 2 spots, but something got through, right? I think your leader gets through.
It's non-leaders, yeah.
Yeah, non-leader. Yeah.
Because you
Now it
negate.
seems like a lot of
Yeah.
them are just every swing, right? Isn't Bardock every swing? But you don't, it doesn't
Right.
negate, but it's every swing.
Bardock kind of sucks big nuts though. So, I mean, there's like obvious application. It's obviously a good card, but
It needs that negate though.
it needs to be set up and it doesn't negate. Yeah, it's kind of an awkward card. It is good though.
That should
But it's one
probably. That should probably also be a thing where every Floodgate probably shouldn't hit your leader in some way. Like just at least give you that draw 1 on swing, to at least get that, not get that taxed or force that to be your last swing with like Dorman or something. I think that should probably be a good thing going forward. Just make every Floodgate not affect your leader.
Or not negate the swing.
And that too.
Yeah.
That's
Floodgate-
that's the weakness to DPU, right? That's the weakness to Bardock. Like Dance would be much less oppressive if
Didn't negate.
that negate didn't. You had to let it swing through. You had to give me a few cards.
Yeah, that would because I mean Dorman is egregious because it's only 2 swings that you get. So obviously I think you have to ban that one and then pretty much make the other ones like you said, just not negate, and then they probably wouldn't even be that bad. Might not even be worth doing them. Yeah, that'd be good.
What about like the Vegito? That's a counterplay card where the yellow Vegito, I'll be specific, deep drop that comes down.
Okay.
Counterplay, not counterattack. Does that
The Mecha Frieza one. I mean, that was always why it was worse than Mecha, right? Because you have to do it before they swing, so it's not like they have to commit to the. They can play their turn around what you've just done.
Yeah.
So I guess that is more fair.
Plus, also, I think there's
Okay.
like, I also think there's more stuff to like just free tap now. I don't know, I don't know. I just don't think that card's really that good. I think Mecha Frieza is kind of making a comeback a little bit personally. I think with that negate, I personally went back to Mecha Frieza. I think that instead of the Bardock, because I think that negate, especially like late game, and then I also think it's kind of clutch with the Gogeta SCR. Just so maybe you can kind of bait him into tapping a bunch of stuff, and then you just Gogeta SCR the next turn. I've done that a couple times.
Well, I don't think it's ever been an argument that Mecha Frieza is better than Bardock or not. I think it's just Mecha Frieza is a pain in the ass to set up for most decks. So
Yeah. Well, also
got
I
the
think like
option.
last format, it was kind of like not really.
Whack.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't really like a thing. Like because before we were always putting like 3 or 4 of them in the decks, and then all of a sudden we stopped putting it. We would just do like the Nimbus and just leave it at that. But
I
But
think
even-
people overreacted a little bit to the Z extra card, inclusion, and then everyone was like, "Oh my god, you can tap one more card!" Like, oh man,
yeah, no, I
it
wouldn't.
wasn't. Yes, it helps for sure against Mecha. You get to tap and get one more swing through, but it wasn't. I didn't think it broke Mecha Frieza like it seemed like
To make it
Meta
unplayable.
responded to.
No, still a good card.
Definitely
I
still
just
limits
think
our turn.
a lot of the best yellow decks just can't be running that many extra cards
Yeah,
for you to
that's
have that
just
set
how it
up
is.
on a reasonable early turn.
And like when they eventually hit the 3-drop Goku or whatever, the thing, what's it called? The blue one?
Energy.
Yeah, Energy Annihilator or whatever.
Yeah, that must go.
Yeah. But it's like it feels like that's just the thing with yellow. I agree it must go, but like they just keep hitting like the good yellow, the stuff that yellow needs. And I don't know what else they're gonna come out with now for yellow to make yellow. Like yellow's gonna be good, I guess, no matter what. But I don't know. Like before the Sin Shenron, like Oceanus aside, the Nova or whatever, even the Kiku, it's just those. I feel like it's just those Z extra cards. They're just what makes it insane, in combination with like the Gogeta SCR and whatnot. But cause I don't know. I don't know what they could do for yellow, to be honest with you, if they hit the Energy Annihilator. It's personally like just cracked. It's personally just cracked because of the Gogeta SCR. But I don't know. They hit the cooler counter. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what they did.
They keep printing fucking stupid cards, and then instead of banning the stupid cards that they made, they ban the utility stuff. So it sucks. It is what it is, though. I mean, they already banned all the cards I care about, so I don't even care anymore. They just keep banning everything.
Yeah.
Fucking care. You can't play half of the fun yellow decks because all their tools are gone. But
Yeah, I know.
so you're stuck with just playing new shit. It's just what it is.
Oh, that's what they want, right? Byproduct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. I guess I don't even know if they care about that at this point.
Yeah,
What
it's-
about the
long as-
situational floodgates?
We're gonna buy it anyway.
Like the yellow 7-drop baby TP, where you get to negate 2 cards and then stop skillless swings, or that seems like an unexplored kind of area that they haven't.
I mean, that's like similar to what the boss monsters we were talking about, right? Kind of the
Yeah,
the
it's on the
proactive stuff.
same vein as Cooler, right? Is there another
Yeah.
one? You said the successor Frieza in that deck.
Yeah, it does the Mecha Frieza effect on your opponent.
Hmm.
So it's pretty cool. Like, yeah, I like that.
Or they could
You
they
know-
could explore that further though. Besides just skillless, right? They could do any card that has
Power
strict
level,
skill or just something they could go by.
You know,
keywords.
if they do that, they could we could see the return of like 15K stuff if they're like, oh, you know, not that I'm saying that it's a good thing to stop every 20K, not to bring back like a raise type deal, but that could be something. It would make the certain decks, you know, playable again.
I mean, you can make it
If
like
only 15Ks are coming through,
you can make
or like make it lower energy cost stuff, so all these activate main guys can't swing through. But if you're playing 2-cost spam, you know, just weird shit like that.
Yeah, you can make it like a more modern violent raise, where like it stops 30Ks or more can't attack next turn, like 35Ks or more can't attack next turn if you like pay a certain amount of energy, something like that.
Okay, that's fucking awful. 35.
Yeah.
I mean, it just guarantees you can't play like the really huge
Yeah,
huge
I-
cards and play around.
We're gonna get a proof of concept here, right? Because the U6 Kaba deck that topped in the EU, we don't have the list yet. But if that Sister's Determination Floodgate was a valuable piece of that deck, then you'll kind of get like, this is a pretty obscure archetype, but it has this super strong Floodgate to that.
Got unerrated
Go to the
raise.
top, right? Yeah, unerrated raise, basically. Yeah.
But then, would you want every new deck that comes out to have like their own specific floodgate? Is that how we want to do it then? If we ban all the common ones, is that
I
how-
just think certain decks just don't get some. That's just would be the way to do it, right?
just the really aggressive
If you're
ones don't
if
get
you're
one?
hyper aggressive, you don't even get a floodgate. If you're one of those
You
turtle
should
up,
have access to dance, right? I mean, that's the real problem.
yeah, that's a real. I mean, that's where that's the reason the whole conversation's happening, right? Is that and dormant Zamasu, right?
Yep,
That's like
another one
the-
that keeps it alive.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Nova, right? Nova can probably floodgate you every turn, be super safe, right?
Oh, they can. Yeah.
Yeah, they can hit you with the same ones as always.
They can, but I feel like green and red just hits you a lot harder.
Well, the Nova's pretty ridiculous, and so
no, I'm not saying it's not ridiculous, but I'm saying like, and I just think personally, especially like with green, when you got 2 like pretty crazy floodgates itself, and then obviously red's the best floodgate, has the best floodgate.
It is very frustrating for them to just tap out and then just get away with everything. It's very fucking stupid, but whatever.
So the next thing we can talk about, I guess, is like the tax in the floodgates. So obviously, a lot of these floodgates are require like some kind of setup or like some kind of like cost to use them, like other than just paying for them or using for free. So, like Nimbus requires you to discard a yellow card. Uneasing requires you to discard a card or discard two to use for free and also be at 4 life. Dormant requires you to pitch a card or just have a unison in play to use it for free.
Green card.
Yeah, or green card. And then Explosive Dance obviously requires just as the extra and be a 4 less life. Not as hard as the other ones, but yeah, I mean, if you were gonna put any kind of taxes on floodgates that they would put like from now on, like how hard would you want the tax to be on these floodgates?
If they're gonna stay.
If they're gonna keep making like
like new ones.
yeah, new ones or better versions of them even, because power creep's a thing, obviously. So
I personally think that they should. I like when the archetypes have them, but they're not just like Meki Kabora got. I forget what it is. I don't think it's a Supreme Kai. It's somebody else. Maybe. But it's an archetype specific Meki Kabora only. But it's a topo. Right?
Yeah, the topo. What's her name?
the poutine. Yeah.
Poutine.
Poutine, yeah. I think that's kind of boring. I like give us different ways to access. You know what I mean? Make it a little bit like the Z energy thing is like in theory kind of an interesting way to do it, but it's also dumb because we want to play with our Z energy. That's the whole point of printing Zenkai cards, and now we don't get to play with them. I don't. It seems weird to me to tax the Z energy.
I guess the idea is, yeah, that's true. You mean like taxing you, the dance does? Okay. In my mind, I was thinking Bardock. You're stuck. You have to leave 2 Z energy that you're not even allowed to play with, which is also really lame.
That's new, but at least like you could, you're kind of it's almost like a delayed investment, right? You can use it next turn or whatever, and then set it back up. Whereas now I'm just killing. I can't play cards out of my Z deck because I have to keep swinging with the battle cards I play. Like, I don't know. I don't like that. But I like when different decks have different. Like I like Finn, even though it's not a great deck. I like how they have their own floodgate, right? It's different from all the other floodgates. It does something super powerful. Like it would be a reason to tempt you into an archetype that instead of just playing a pile of Black Saiyans that with whatever leader is the best at the moment, you might say, well, Finn has this. You know, Absorption of Doom or whatever, this might be worth playing. I think that's kind of like a unique space that even like the Shadow Dragons, I know it gets applied everywhere, but the Black Shadow Dragons with Oceanus, like milling 4 cards off top of the deck, pretty neat, right? I'd rather have Zamasu have some green specific god floodgate, you know, than just Dormant.
Yeah.
It would be cool. And then maybe cheaper too, right? I think, maybe?
Yeah, they'd all be cheaper. Yeah, it would make everything way cheaper, for sure. Just make a bunch of and then like that's a good idea. Just certain decks get floodgates, certain decks don't. Just print them, the ones that deserve to have one or need one. Just print one for them, and then get rid of all this generic shit, so we don't run into issues what we're running into right now. But at the same time, they're also kind of boring. Just getting hit with one in general does just suck. So. I could see just leaving the concept, but then you got to walk back
a lot.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to have to be either print archetype specific ones or I don't know, more counters or some shit.
Do you guys think floodgates like prolong the game too long? Like, you think they'd make the games go too long?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
they make the games go too long. It's just maybe like deck-specific stuff maybe makes games go too long. But as far as floodgates, I personally don't think so. I think we're in a format that we're just in, like maybe turn 4, turn 5 format. Kind of personally, but that's just.
It's interesting that you asked that question because that's one of the biggest things when I play with people that play Fusion World. That attracts them to Fusion World. I don't have to deal with floodgates and my games can be quick. Right? You can get in 3 Fusion World games in the time it takes you to play 1 Masters. So I wonder if Bandai actually considers that as like because that's really the biggest. I mean, negates in general, but the lack of a floodgate or tax on swings, that's a big differentiator between the game. That's really probably one of the biggest differences between the two games. And I don't know, I guess it's just player preference whether you prefer.
And it's that's always been a thing. It's like people hate getting countered, people hate getting interacted with, basically. So they like to just this is like a huge generalization, but they like to just play with their cards, kind of do a solitaire thing, and then if you've got to wait, if you live, then you live, and if you die, then they played their game at least. Like either way, they come out a little bit more satisfied than they played into the thing that they didn't think of, and now their whole turn is over. It's just if you're a card game player, that doesn't bother you, but if you're like a casual, or if you're just somebody who's, I don't know, I guess casual is just the right word. Yeah, if you're a casual, that's just not what you want to. It's not what you want to play. It's not what you want to spend money on. Is to get destroyed by some guy who's a sweat, basically, in their mind. Whereas if you're also a sweat, then that is what you want. You want to play against someone else who's taking this as seriously as you are.
Yeah, I assume that's why like games like One Piece, besides just the IP, right? It's a little bit more RNG. It's a little bit less
sweaty. Yeah.
There's less things to interact, right? You do your thing. You still have to make good choices and play clean and do all the right things, but it's less of, oh man, does my opponent have this one thing that if I walk into I lose? Do they have haste Shenron? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Those type of things.
Which are the things I like, which is why I love Dragon Ball so much. It's like the only other thing that really has that level of interaction where it's like where it makes sense in any way. Because Yu-Gi-Oh has a ton of that shit, but it's awful in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like it's just Magic and Dragon Ball have this level of interaction pretty much, where like you have to play around. It's like a navigating a maze, and like you're really playing against another person, on both turns, and that feels nice.
Well, speaking of playing around, do you think it's easy enough to play around a lot of these floodgates? Or do you think there's some of them you just can't play around at all?
Some of them you have to just eat. Yeah, Dormant especially is just like, okay, well I have 2 swings this turn. If I have a deck that's full of double strikers and stuff, I mean maybe at least I can get one decent swing in there, because the second one's getting free negated in some other stupid way. So that ain't going through. Which that one feels the worst, I think. Dormant. Everything else, I know Nimbus is coming, and I'm gonna get 3 more swings, and they're all gonna be value at least. But and Dance is fucking unbearable. You can't really play around that unless your deck can somehow make Z energy pretty easily.
Unless you're Blue Gogeta, the new one.
Yeah, which is I think why they made it that way. But that's still not enough.
Yeah, even then, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's a shame that they. I don't know. The dance especially is the tough one, right? Because you can play around it, but God, if you haven't set it up right, and then you listen to
this
card, you don't have Z energy set up as you used it, and then they have another negate. Now that's baby hatch. It feels so gross, dude. I don't like it.
No, it's awful. Check this out. Check out this power creep idea.
Okay.
What if they just start making battle cards that you don't have that ignore a floodgate? Like you just play it even if you're locked out. It's like this card can attack no matter what. Fuck it.
It feels like we're all the way through the Looking Glass then, right?
What's up?
It feels like then we're all the way through the Looking Glass, right? We're never gonna solve any problems. We're just gonna print cards our way out of it. Which I guess if you're a card selling company, it's probably
that was the joke. But yeah, it's just how do we power creep our way out of this one? Just make cards that aren't affected by shit. Might be fine.
I mean, though, a way I like of them dealing with floodgates is putting the tax effect on battle cards. Like if your opponent counters, they have to rip a card out of their hand. I like effects like that. Why can't they make more? They don't make enough cards like that, honestly. It's just really the Oob, the 8-drop blue-green set 21 does it. They pitch 2 if they counter. They should really have more cards like that that tax your opponent for countering. It's gonna happen, so you might as well just play this card and swing. if they do it, that they know they have to take more cards out of their hand, or like lose a card on board, lose a life even sometimes. They should probably do more of that, I think.
I agree. And those type of cards allow even like more intricate play lines, right? I remember playing 21 in a webcam, and I was playing against Anthony Hayne. He's an Australian fellow, but famous for playing Blue Soul Striker, and he side decked in Deborah's against me. I didn't know it at the time, obviously, but I played my 8-drop. I was all excited. He countered. I was like, all right, cool, pitch 2. And he's like, okay, I'll pitch 2 Deborah's and draw 4 cards.
More cards.
Yeah, like
Crap, dude. No, that's not what I meant. Never mind, dude. You don't have to pitch. It's fine. But yeah, like those, that's like another level up where you get the skill gap somebody, right? And your deck building matters and your decisions matter. So that at least that's more interactive than, do I have a triple striker here to swing through the first swing of Dormant? Oh, I don't. Okay, this sucks. Like, they draw too much for it just to be a neg 2.
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a multitude of things they could do, but it's not good right now.
What about a keyword like super combo? I wasn't around before super combo existed, but
there was only those super combos. You know what I mean? Like there was only that card,
It was just set.
and then right when they made the second round of them, they put super combo out.
but what if a
You know what I
green
mean?
deck had to pick? Like they could play 2 DPUs and 2 UARs because they both have the Floodgate red text. Is that better? Is that worse? Is it like, oh, you saw it, you didn't see it, or
just 4 floodgates to a deck.
yeah, you can play as many negates or whatever as you shocking death balls.
I mean, that doesn't solve the current problem of Kidku just plays those 4 anyway, right? It doesn't really matter.
Sometimes they're playing topo. They're siding in raise in the mirror.
Yeah,
Maybe they slide out dance. I don't know how that.
It's
A lot of those decks are playing topo, right?
Yeah, Topos in a lot of them.
It's a cool idea. It's probably not realistic because there's just so many floodgates in the game. I mean, what are you gonna like consider a floodgate and did it not be considered a floodgate? Like it's probably a line there that they can't really like draw. I would say.
It's a lot of erratas, I guess.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. Like that is a cool idea to have, but we're probably too far into the game to really have something like that, unfortunately.
Rotation.
I'm okay with that, but that's basically I guess they probably tell you go play Fusion World instead, right? Even though it's not the same.
If there ever was gonna be a rotation, they'd stop making support for old decks, but they keep doing it, so rotation is probably never gonna happen. So.
No, I think it seems like the idea that they're printing so much of this legacy support means that they've indicated in some type of data that this makes money, right? That's why they do it. So people like their legacy decks, and they're going to continue to cater to those people and hope to bring back lapsed players with that type of support. So,
I do love legacy.
Rotation's as far away as
it's
ever been.
I've always had the opinion if they do rotation, I think that would actually kill the game. Like I know, like I would
left.
Yeah, like I would keep playing personally. But like a lot of people do only play like their legacy decks, like the ones that they like from many sets ago, and they thought they can't play it anymore in events. They're just out. They're not gonna play anymore. So I think they know that too. So they're not gonna ever do a rotation to fix the floodgates or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason for rotation. I mean, there's no one really left to get rid of, right? You're either in or out at this point. It feels like.
Exactly. Yeah.
It would be cool if they did special. Like they kind of explored this with the Zenkai things. It really it wasn't great because the 2 cards I can think of that people still that like they missed out on in that were Sensu Bean and Champa, and those are both kind of they've been hit since then. So you really are like most of the decks we're playing now there's a lot of Zenkai cards, right? It's not,
yeah. That's a good idea. I think at the time that they were doing the Zenkai stuff, it didn't make sense because it had just started, so the card pool was too small to like make interesting decks. You were just locked to like these like 8 new archetypes, so that felt like shit. If they did it now, that would be interesting. Although you would just get bodied by 21 or some shit like that, probably.
But they would lose, like 21 would lose Bad Omen, right? There'd be
that's true.
There would be some ramifications. I'm just gonna pull up a Kid Crew list. I'm curious how many even Unison Warrior cards or older even get played.
Just before set 10 cards.
A Bunny Girl would be out of a Kid 2 deck, for example. The Raditz Super Combo.
No, before
Maybe
Zenkai.
more than I
Yeah.
thought. The King Vegeta counter. It's a good card. One thing I did want to... I like King Vegeta's Imposing Presence. I think that's a pretty fair Floodgate. It's impactful, but not crazy. They haven't really printed anything. And it's also on brand for Red. It seems to work, but...
It doesn't work anymore though. Everything's a 30k.
Baby Unison, Topo, Koitsukai, that's a big one that still sees play. The Dimension Magic Silver Bullets, Token Negates, or UW.
Yeah. I kind of just wish that Imposing Presence was the generic Floodgate instead of Explosive Dance. It feels like a little more on brand for Red. Maybe make it a little better than just -5 every swing or something. I don't know how to balance it exactly to make it like on par with the other ones, but like Explosive Dance is definitely just it's just too strong for Red. I think Imposing Presence, if they just make that generic Red leaders for everyone, I think that would be like the good enough for Red, I think. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but
it's not very good.
you don't think so?
That's not the solution, I don't think. If you let everyone else keep their cringe shit and then you just Reds is King Vegeta's Imposing Presence. I don't know about that.
Okay, what about if every color just had the same exact Floodgate? So like say like every color has has Uneasy as their Floodgate.
Lame.
At least that one you can play around.
Boring.
Yeah, I guess it's too boring, yeah. But
yeah, fuck that.
I guess similar enough, like Uneasy.
I like when it matches up with the color identity.
They're very good
That's
at that.
why
Yeah.
Explosive Dance is kind of lame, right? Because this isn't Red's thing. What costing me the energy?
I mean, it matches up with the future Gohan deck, but that's really it. Yeah.
Does it?
I mean that deck sucks up a lot of Z energy, so it kind of makes sense, but it's definitely overtuned.
If the Z extra was hard to play, maybe, but all these decks have Z extras anyway, or that are a benefit to play. Like,
I mean, even
if you look at the meta, even from the stuff that's been topping out, to change the subject too much, but you have new decks and you have, you still have legacy decks, right? The Shenron stuff, the Nuovas and Oceanuses. They're still playing a ton of Unison Warrior block Shadow Dragons, right? There's still the SS4 Sun Gokus that are placing those. Those have a lot of old cards. Soul Striker topped here and there. The Cell deck tops. Like there's stuff that's playing old cards and new cards. So there's a mix, I guess.
It's like half.
Other than what? I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's like half the Floodgates would be gone if we had the rotation.
We'd be left with the worst one. Explosive Dance, right?
Yeah, and Uneasy, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, the meta is pretty good right now, other than the freaking three decks maybe.
I think it's still good. Even with this whole, I think it's still fun.
Oh yeah, it's definitely fun. But I'm saying for like a tournament stand, like a big tournament standpoint type thing. Like when you see all the pie charts or whatever, it's usually
always going to be.
Yeah, it's like freaking 40% Kid Coup, and then I don't know 20% Nova, and then there's like one of each different deck of something.
It's too much Kid Coup.
It's just. Yeah.
Like, do we honestly think that Kid Coup would still be topping if Explosive Dance is banned? What do you guys think?
They'd be.
Yeah. So.
I guess it makes sense there.
It would still be very good, but
yeah,
that leadership's broken.
Yeah, and not once per turn on the power neg is fucking psyched out.
Yeah, the Chaozu is just nuts too. Like the fact that you can Chaozu it's just that extra card. I don't know, that extra card is just nuts to me.
I think it's mostly a mix of Explosive Dance, Bunny Girl, and Chaozu all in the same deck, plus the leader being influenced by all three of those.
Well, the fact that you just got a lot of shit going on.
The fact that you just Chaozu, and the fact that you just Chaozu on turn 2 and stop whatever your opponent's doing, it's just nuts, and it's just nuts. And on top of that, just getting a 30k and It's just retarded to me.
It's almost the exact same deck as Yellow U7 was before last Nats. It just had too many avenues, right? And even
Yeah.
you see this season, they took away Unlimited Burn. They took away the 6-drop. Like, they neutered that deck for a lot of its strength, and it's still super good. It still can top an event almost, anytime it wants to. If a good player were to put down Nova and pick up U7, very similar, right? You could still get there.
Oh yeah,
So-
they still, I feel like it still has like a decent stuff in the deck, especially with 8-drop Gogeta out now, and you got the Gogeta SCR you probably play in the deck. Yeah, it's just
They just need to bring down Kidku's broad strengths, right? They need to limit it to doing a couple things. The netting every time you play a 30k, like which the deck is doing inherently, too much. And then the dance is really the problem, right? So it comes back full circle to the floodgate. They don't need it all. Give them pick and choose.
Yeah, the dance
Yeah.
is too much, but I also think it comes back to the freaking Z extra card. Because I mean, even in Nova, I feel like if you hit that Z extra card, its decks might not be as good. Same thing with Kidku. If you hit that Z extra card, then they're forced to do the Kamehameha one or the whichever one it is, the 20 times.
Then they have to take their own life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have.
Or
Yeah,
it's
So-
interesting.
Yeah,
that nobody,
exactly.
Nobody
Yeah,
just
like,
looked at,
exactly.
nobody
That's
just
what-
looked at the super water because it gives 5k. Right, that's a floodgate, kind of +5. Nobody.
Yeah, Bean.
I mean, would you call Bean a floodgate? I don't know about that. I mean, I guess in some way.
It
kinda
used to
is.
be.
Yeah,
used to
when
be.
15Ks mattered, yeah. But no one plays that anymore. So I guess to conclude here with the floodgates, do we
I mean, there's no real consensus, I don't think. There's just a lot of ideas thrown at the wall.
Yeah, so do we think they're like in a fine spot right now? Do you think they should really address them in some way, or like maybe just one specific one, or do you guys think that they're fine how it is? They should probably either keep making them, stop making them. What's our conclusion here?
If they're losing, if they're getting complaints and losing players, I mean, granted to their own other game, then I guess it's a valid thing to try to address. So they should probably change something in any of the ways that we said.
I'd like to see them do a little bit of like when they did in 2021 with the free play, when they just came through and kind of swept out all the cards that were playing for no
Yeah.
energy.
Best
I'd like to
spam.
see a little bit of a defensive wave come through, but if we were truly monetized after the dollar YouTube creators, we would say, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us
Exactly.
what you think. out
Yeah,
there.
I actually am
Dragon Ball.
curious,
Doing my
genuinely
job.
interested in other people's ideas. So
Taking
That's fair.
taking the words right out of my mouth. So
I need
Yeah.
a cut, dude. I need a cut.
do what Bobby said there. Let us know in the comments below if there's any ideas you guys have about floodgates. If you have a problem with them, tell us why you guys have a problem with them. If you think they should stay in the game and they're good for the game, let us know about that also. So
If you're a dirty Fusion World lover, tell us that too.
yeah, tell us how
Yeah,
much
we-
you tell us how much you hate floodgates and
I
love. Fusion
I
World.
don't even care about their opinion.
All right, well, that's gonna be all for this episode of the Troll Club podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time. Good night.
Night.
gonna have a good one.